And as in, so let's talk about life. How do men build their confidence in the day that we live in?
Men have to understand that their operating system running the world has changed. Somebody said, what a man can do, a woman can do. So women are also boxing. I said, give me the woman who's going to box Mike Tyson. I mean, what kind of boxing? How is that going to work out? We should be content with design. Design is instructive.
Yeah.
Once you confuse the fact for a problem, you are going to begin to move into some form of lunacy.
I'm looking for how to teach young men swing hard.
Yes.
Swing like whatever that your bat hits is out of the park.
Yes.
This is life. Oh man.
I think that Eve is the mediator between meaning and strength. And if you look at the garden, Eve was the one talking to the animals. That's meaning. Adam did not speak to any animal. He was naming them. So there's a big difference between, the authority and meaning. Meaning is more penetrative. Somebody that understands meaning, that this bosses it, will rent more space in the heads of people than somebody who is in authority, because he's not connecting. He's in charge, but he's not connecting. But the animals were talking to Eve. The serpent didn't have any conversation with Adam. He went to Eve. Eve was giving meaning to the animal, and that's what the serpent took advantage of. And once you understand that, you see that in a man, there's so much.
Wow,
there's so much.
That is so powerful. Like, that's so powerful.
Yes, and when you look at it, you see that every time in life and in scripture, the woman is always that mediator between life, and legacy. The woman, we were non-existent. She gave birth to us, and then we have a chance at eternity. We have a chance at legacy. The woman is always in there, and for me, I think if we respect that, what it means is a bit more intimidating, because what it means actually is that, listen, there's a high probability, and I'm not going to say this is a rule, but there's a high probability that the woman is more powerful.
No. I mean, statistically proven, actually. Scientifically proven that I was doing some research and I found out that there are 16 indices that they use to measure leadership, and in 14 of those 16 indices, women outstrip men. In fact, men only lead in decisiveness, and another one that I can't remember, in decisiveness, like on the spur of the minute, decisiveness, we're going to war, we're killing somebody. And brute force. And when it comes to using brute force, so I don't think there's an argument about their strength. I mean, the way I say to men is that even the Bible doesn't help us too much as men. I mean, if he calls them help meet from the get-go, you can't help me except you are stronger than me.
Correct.
You can't help me except you are better than
Correct.
me. Two people at the same level really can't help themselves. So for you to be able to be the help that is suitable for me, it means there's some level of, there's a gradient there.
So let's even go into that help meet. I've studied it. There is a part of that, the dominant meaning in that actually is emphasizing an equal and opposite adversary.
No way.
Yes, sir. Equal, opposite adversary. So when you have a woman in your life, there are dimensions of, I don't mean to use the phrase devil's advocate. There are places the woman would take you to, would challenge you to, that you probably won't challenge
yourself to go. Yeah.
That adversarial nature is not evil. It's playing that role and helping you with your blind sides. And she's going to confront you with the things you are probably afraid to confront yourself with, or you don't see. And a lot of men are going to see that as maybe competition or disrespect or rudeness. But that is part of
but don't you think that the reason why men are like that is because of how we're socialized? Don't you think that is a function of culture?
I agree. I agree totally.
That shapes us like that.
Yes.
I mean, today, I'm still going to come back to what we're discussing. One of the things that I feel is a major disadvantage for men today, really, the way I see it, is that the syllabus changed and nobody informed men. We are still working on what my uncle told me, what my father told me. This is how to be a man in a marriage. And they are not living in these times. Neither are they marrying the wives that we are marrying,
correct,
who are smart, brilliant, accomplished. Exposed. They are go-getters. So wanting to now use what your uncle told you, all those crazy advices that we got from people that I don't even want to define them. I say this, my dad advised me once, he said the way to be a man in the house is to shout. Just put a cup of water there, let someone come and nobody's going to ask you. Then you go there and say, who put this cup of water here? Nobody will be able to come to you and say that you are the one that put the cup. They said that is how you know that you are the man of the house. And a lot of us grew up with stuff like that.
Yes.
Unfortunately, even how I'm raising my daughter, I don't think she's going to be intimidated by a man to the point where she will not voice her opinion or say her mind.
Correct.
So when you're finished shouting, the woman is still going to ask you the intelligent question of how did the cup of water get here? If it's two of us, in the house, it definitely wasn't me. Dude, it's got to be you. So then, what was he shouting for? And men basically don't know how to handle that. I feel culture puts us in a difficult place. And men, guys, I'm on your side. We have to learn fast. We have to unlearn quickly. We have to relearn speedily. Otherwise, we're losing a lot of grounds.
Yeah.
And you see, let me tell you another thing I've noticed. Our resistance to that change puts pressure on us.
Yes.
That leads to frustration.
Yes.
That's creating the high mortality we have for men.
Yes. Yes.
And they do not realize that the issue is we are resisting this change that is evident. It puts us under pressure. It leads to frustration. Frustration leads to high blood pressure. High blood pressure comes with it other different things. Before you know it, your health is failing. Your mind is always full. You have taken on all of this pressure. You're wondering, and you could just be at ease really by just changing and learning and relearning. I feel there's power that men really still have, really
a lot of it,
power that we still have, and we are going to speak to that somewhat before we finish. So if you're going to advise a 30-year-old man who's about to get married to a 27-year-old queen, what advice will you give him?
I would say, be authentic. You have to be authentic. Women, I've found out, are quite elastic.
Okay.
They can accommodate a lot, right? But I have found that a lot of women get easily put off, probably even irritated by pretense and unnecessarily point proving.
Okay.
And authenticity attracts in itself. And if you are yourself and you are honest enough to communicate, I always say to men, communicate whatever it is that is your authenticity. You guys to communicate.
You're preaching to me right now. Preach to the choir.
You guys to communicate it. Your protocols, the assumptions you hold so dear. You guys to communicate it. I remember, years ago, I was before I got married, I was dating someone, and we were in a public transportation, and we got to a particular place we were supposed to alight, and the guy managing the vehicle was rude to her, and the guy acted in a funny way that suggested I was going to get violent. And I've I've seen some violence. So I was processing it differently. What's going to happen here? I'm not going to descend, to this. So I was in there studying what was going on. Then I managed to, give the guy, some eye, take it easy, manage the situation. So the guy calmed down, and then we left. I didn't have to do anything. And then she took me on like 4 hours later.
I can imagine.
I didn't do anything. Yes. They're going to allow the guy to beat me and all of that. And I said, look, I can't fight. I've fought. I will never fight again.
Wow.
And I fight with this. And if you are going to be with me, you have to be ready to fight with this. Any other type of fight is too cheap for me. I can't descend that low. So this is the reality. And she went on and on, no, this is not able to defend me. I said, all I can do there is to make sure
he doesn't
hit you. By the time he hits you, my own question is, what did we do wrong? That we put ourselves in a place where someone like that could hit us.
Wow.
That is why if I don't complain about what I permit. If you slap me, I don't say, why did you slap me? I say, what did I do to myself to allow you to slap me? If you tell me I'm stupid, I'm not going to say I'm not stupid. Maybe there's a way you see stupidity. So I want to understand it. So I don't defend myself that way. And later, over maybe 8 to 9 months later, she acknowledged that. And at that time, we're not even dating anymore. But she acknowledged that, I learned something from you. And, and I've tried to manage my relationship generally with that. My son now, I try to model that as well. There's a program on TV that a lot of people see, and my assistant was asking me, this show, what's your view of it? I said, the day I see this show, if I sit on this show for 30 minutes, I think I've lost my right to correct David. I said, I can't correct David again, because I can't sit down to watch this show. Even if David did not see me, it's my personal thing. It's not about David. So I think that authenticity and part of that is congruence. It's being
break that down.
So congruence as in be who you are everywhere.
Okay.
Don't be selective about where you express your authenticity.
Okay.
Let the people of your life, particularly the woman in your life, see you as this is who you are. And somehow, I don't know how it happens, but I noticed that people generally, but most especially women, are ready to bend to your level of authenticity.
This is life.
And if you find the